Abzan Constrictor here in the 1-0 bracket from Boswell. This is an exciting one. And yeah, the cards to go with it. We mentioned Rishkar, Scavenging Ooze. Seems pretty nice with Winding Constrictor. He's got Dromoka's Command.
Main deck Spirit of the Labyrinth. Boswell's sending a message.
3 Spirit of the Labyrinth. That is so many.
And so Boswell actually comes from the same place that Duke does. They're both, the Sugarloaf crew. So if I'm on hand side and I see Windswept Heath into Overgrown Tomb and I saw last round's feature match, I'm kind of thinking, all right.
It's probably black-green.
All right. No, thank goodness. No Inquisition on one.
Hand starting off with that turn 1 Aether Vial. Newest member this year of Team BCW is still in hand.
Guy's just been on the up and up for like a year now.
Yeah.
Boswell figuring out just how he can put 11 counters on something this turn.
I just Winding Constrictor go. I wanna see it in action. And it's gonna be Walking Ballista on 1.
Normal Abzan things.
Yeah.
At this point, Hand's probably thinking maybe some Traverse the Ulvenwald, something.
Yeah, this might be a one of, kind of strange, but this still makes sense.
Right, and there's also a point where when you're playing against someone and you see something like this, your brain just tries to fit it into the boxes you already know. No one's going, oh, that card's good with Winding Constrictor.
Yeah, I would think it would be like a Jund Shadow deck, except Blooming Marsh throws that off the table.
Exactly. This could just be the Abzan Traverse deck that we saw from mid-2017.
Yeah, maybe it's still black-green mid-range. They're just making some peculiar choices or style choices or what have you. Right? Blooming Marsh really means mid-range style deck.
All right, so what do you think Boswell has that made turn 2 Ballista something he keeps? Rishkar, maybe?
So, let's see here. Thalia's Lieutenant and Champion of the Parish. So Boswell's going to get to hit one of them with this Ballista. How about Anafenza the Foremost? Knight of Autumn blowing up Aether Vial.
The old main deck Knight of Autumn concoction.
It has 1/1 counters.
Of course. Oh, I get it.
It's a 5/4 for 3.
This is something.
I love that Dromoka's Command is a removal spell in here. That's so good.
Oh, Dromoka's Command against creature decks? Do you remember that
with
standard
Winding
format?
Constrictor, though? It's a bigger Dromoka's Command.
This is like Dromoka's Orders?
Yeah, right.
Dromoka's Decree?
And here's that Anafenza. So Anafenza the Foremost from Khans of Tarkir, the 4/4. If a creature card will be put into a graveyard from anywhere, it's exiled instead. When Anafenza attacks, it's on theme. It puts a 1/1 counter on, I believe, a tapped creature.
Yes. I'm at the point where if I'm in hand seat, I'm assuming that these are Traverse bullets. I'm still just kind of going,
still think this is
what on
just
earth? But maybe Ballista's kind of a hate card against little creature decks. Anafenza's kind of a graveyard hate card. Maybe Boswell has an anemic draw. I don't know what's going on. Can someone help me?
Thalia's Lieutenant, holding the trigger on the stack, another 2-drop with Thalia. So Thalia and her 2 lieutenants both in play. It's really going to throw you then for a loop when he plays the second Walking Ballista. They're like, all right, now that's the point where you're like, now I don't know what's happening.
Oh, yeah. Just how did I get here? What is happening?
Or, the second Anafenza. Now, this Thalia's Lieutenant actually grew past the Anafenza up to a 5/5, and this is a bit of a concern. Boswell has 5 removal spells in his deck, but past that, he doesn't have a great way to deal with a creature once it gets to this size.
Well, so there are a couple of paths, a couple of fatal pushes, some things here. So Dylan is likely thinking this Thalia is going to be effective at this point, but he is not aware that Boswell just has 5 spells.
Right.
It's not going to be as effective as it normally would be,
yep.
But
Boswell is playing almost as many creatures as Dylan. It's 37 and 34, respectively.
Those are not the same number, Matthias.
I said almost as many.
I've been practicing bigger numbers all week.
Yeah.
I didn't have to use my fingers for this one.
Path to Exile is one of the cards in Boswell's hand.
This is one of the matchups where we are not very happy to draw one of these main deck copies of Spirit of the Labyrinth. Hands actually had a great draw to fight against the look how big my creatures get draw.
The all Thalia's lieutenants and champions.
Lieutenant Champ is kind of the mix that you want in order to beat this, and Boswell did not draw the Experiment 1 Pelt Collector half of his deck that tends to shine so much in this look at both of us having all these big things deck.
Right, he needs Winding Constrictor to fight with this.
Exactly, and there is kind of a point, you brought up it being a real concern that this is a 5/5 Thalia's Lieutenant. There's kind of a point where Boswell's deck is great at making 5/5s.
Right.
Right, you get your Pelt
but
Collector,
not
your
8/8s.
Experiment 1, etc. Exactly. There's kind of a ceiling to how big things grow based on Pelt Collector and Experiment 1's evolve and pseudo-evolve abilities.
So to Boswell we go. 3 mana means it's going to be Dramoka's Command paying the extra. 1/1 counter on Anafenza. It's going to fight Thalia. And looks like he'll attack for 5. Path to Exile in his hand, but not able to cast that one just yet.
Boswell looking like he's drawn a few too many lands, and this is kind of what we saw last round as well, where Boswell recognizes he's behind on the table, and things probably aren't getting better from him.
No, I'm a bit surprised there. He fought away Thalia instead of Thalia's Lieutenant. Right now, those creatures that grow seem like the scariest part of Dylan's deck.
So Boswell having another path in his hand or something else to do means that he needs to cast 2 spells this turn, and that would have been a 5-mana play if he had done that.
Champion of the Parish and Noble Hierarch from hand. And this 7/7 Champion of the Parish, make it like an 8/8 off Aether Vial, putting in Mantis Rider. Yeah, I see why we took this line now, as he would be dead.
Yeah.
On the other line.
Exactly. This is kind of the draw from Dylan. This is what you expect humans to be doing and killing you with, and Andrew would just literally be at 0 life here without this path.
Even with the path, he's dropping down to 3.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
Oof. Dylan's draw is really coming together here. This is frightening.
Oh yeah, Dylan drew the anti-creature draw here, where instead of answering all the creatures, he made bigger ones.
And Boswell picks up the cards. It is humans taking game 1.
This is a clean sideboard from humans.
Yeah, 3 3s and 3 2s. Let's take a look at the ones that are available. Auriac Champion, Path to Exile, Stony Silence, Gaddock Teague, Night of Autumn, Tireless Tracker. I love Path to Exile in this matchup.
So as I'm reaching for my sideboard, I'm trying to think back to the last game, and I'm thinking to myself, all
right, so let's see. Walking Ballista, Anafenza, Dramoka's Command, Path to Exile.
I'm starting to put together this +1 counter theme at this point. You don't accidentally put Dramoka's Command in your Abzan deck.
Yeah. It feels like, maybe you don't know the exact, that there's Winding Constrictor, but it feels like a beatdown deck.
Exactly, and Dramoka's Command kind of leans on creatures, so you're likely going to be looking to these Path to Exiles here, as they are something that lets you kind of get the important cards off of the table and pick apart any synergies that Boswell might be trying to set up with cards like Dramoka's Command, Ballista, etc.
Now, it is a matchup where there's almost mono creatures on each side. I don't think you still want Auriac Champion.
No, not at all. Not at all. It doesn't really have protection from anything Boswell's doing unless you're afraid of exactly Fatal Push. Oh, wait. Auriac Champion can block Winding Constrictor for free.
And Anafenza.
Oh,
so good.
get him in.
Now,
get him in.
Do you like anything else here? Tireless Tracker. You're against a light removal deck.
For the most part, I think Dylan is mostly looking to get a couple of cards out of his deck. Some of his weaker things like Kite Sail Freebooter that don't look like they're going to have many targets. But otherwise, we saw that game that humans kind of just lines up pretty well as long as you draw your heavy hitters.
You know what? He doesn't have any Kite Sail Freebooters this weekend.
Love it.
Yeah.
Always been a Dylan Hand fan.
Mayor of Averbrook and Tajik, 2 of each taking the spot. 0 freebooter in the humans list.
This is nice. This is nice. He just wants to kill people, and we saw it game 1. We're probably going to be looking at Thalia, Guardian of Thraben coming out in that case. Maybe Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage tends to be a little bit better against the synergy decks, but if you don't know what your opponent's doing, it's kind of hard to Meddling Mage anything.
Now, I mentioned Electro Dominance earlier here. We're talking about Modern. You can pre-order some Ravnica Allegiance today. Right now, we have a special SCG price of $94.99, and even cheaper if you're a member of SCG Premium. That will ship in just a couple weeks on Friday, January 25th. You can order now at starcitygames.com/RNA. Now, so Path to Exiles for Dylan, some light sideboarding. On Boswell's side, this is a creature mirror as well. He's got some cards that are all like these hate bears for different matchups. I don't know that he has many things to sideboard.
No, for the most part, what he's going to be looking at here is Voice of Resurgence. And I know that's the kind of card that we think is a little bit silly and is not going to look great. And you kind of think about it, we want this against Jeskai. But what it's actually doing here is you're just making a big elemental. It's when this dies, get a huge creature. Because Boswell's playing all these creatures and just needs a way to stack up against a 6/6.
Yeah, this one Linvala, Keeper of Silence, normally is great in creature mirrors, though Humans is actually not a deck that does much against.
Yeah, unless you're afraid of something like Staticaster out of hand, there's just not really much it's doing. I guess you could turn off Noble Hierarch on your 4th turn, but maybe instead we should not do that.
A strong win that first game for Dylan Hand. We mentioned now part of Team BCW, the 25-year-old from Southampton, Massachusetts. This is actually a close, kind of a hometown open, if you would.
Yeah, exactly. This is about as close as any of them get from him.
Yeah, has a degree from UMass. 6 open top 8s.
Really just kind of breaking out in the last couple of years. Hand and I have always kind of been... Dylan Hand and I have kind of just been player meeting buddies for as long as time has ever gone on. And it's been really awesome watching him kind of come up. Now that he finished school, he just kind of actually has the time to grind, and turns out he was just, secretly a ringer this whole time.
Mulligan from Boswell and Mulligan from Hand. We're going to see 6s on both sides. I want to see a Winding Constrictor in play. I'm just You
want to see a Winding Constrictor in play.
Whew. Yeah. If I don't get... I will be disappointed if we don't get to see one. I'm glad Boswell's mulliganing to find one.
Do you know how many tournaments myself and the people I know have incinerated to Winding Constrictor?
I've played that card the entire time it was in Standard. This card is great. I'm a huge fan.
Nice. Winding Constrictor is nice.
It's like a green beatdown 2-drop. I want this deck. I'd mess with this deck.
Oh. Same.
So, yeah.
I got nothing else. You get so much. Oh my gosh, you get to Noble Hierarch into Winding Constrictor.
Yeah, I want something like Blossoming Defense so that I can just, Noble Hierarch into Constrictor plus Defense.
Can we just do all that and have Hadana's Climb as well? Just go full standard. Maybe a Duskwatch Recruiter just in case, a Catacomb Sifter, depending on the era.
Ooh. I like the Experiment one. Experiment one would have been great in Constrictor.
Ooh.
And here we see it. Turn 1, Experiment 1 from Boswell. Turn 2, Constrictor. Boom, it's a 3/3.
Please.
Aether Vial from Hand. Come on, Snake. Snake,
no!
Oh, no. Do we not even have a land?
Oh, maybe it's Pelt Collector Experiment 1 to make it awesome.
Okay, it is. Okay, we're live for a very good Winding Constrictor. Oh man, so many creatures ready to evolve. If just only the snake would show up.
Do this. Do it.
Untap Boswell, 3 cards.
Come on.
Pelt Collector kind of has evolved.
Give the
2 mana. There we go. Winding Constrictor. 2 counters. 2 counters. 2 counters. This is the deck. Swing for 9. Dylan's down to 10.
You see Dylan start flicking his cards faster.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh, so this is what your deck does. All right. Mantis Rider. Thousand Descendant. Sure.
All right.
It is a 4/4, to be fair.
You know what? You're so right, Matthias.
Yeah, it can play here. As a blocker, it looks good. Back to Boswell's side we go. But Fatal Push. And that's going to be picking up the cards for Dylan. Yeah, it looked like it was crack. I think it was crack Horizon Canopy for Revolt. Fatal Push the blocker.
Did you see Boswell have to stifle a smile there?
Oh, that's when you just know, right? It's like, my deck's nice.
You're just like, all right, cool. My day was made. I got to do the thing on camera.
The turn 4 kill, I believe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, turn 4.
Nice deck. I like when you turn for people just by turning the Coddles sideways.
Just good, clean Magic.
Yeah, not even any burn spells mixed up in it, just that many points of attacking.
So Nakado got banned. Do you think we're going to see an Experiment 1 ban?
I mean, it's just Nakado with upside, right? That's what Boswell showed us.
Exactly. Maybe, you know what? I actually think Winding Constrictor's the problem.
Yeah,
it was a Constrictor on the modern ban list.
It was an 8 power for 2 mana.
That's
some Tarmogoyf rate right there.
Exactly. This is going to push other decks out of the format.
Yeah.
Can you believe Reed Duke had the audacity
to not play Winding Constrictor?
Blue Constrictor? No. I can't believe him.
Yeah, he put Tarmogoyf in instead of Winding Constrictor.
They even rode together.
That's just embarrassing.
To the technology. I am. Oof. This is going to be a long car ride home for Duke.
Well, Dylan, look, you see now, his face has really changed on this one now as he scores for Game 3. Like, oh, okay.
That's kind of how a lot of the meme decks or the off-the-wall things that you'll come across in these tournaments feel, where you see them and you go, oh, that's so cute.
And then you lose.
Glad. And then you're down a game, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, God, I cannot be one of the people who loses to this. I cannot be one of the people who loses to this today. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
The Grand Prix I played when Eye of Ugin was legal. So the Eldrazi Winter Grand Prix.
Detroit.
I remember I hit a meme deck in round 7 because I was playing Eldrazi. Because I wanted to be like part of the fun, right? Part of history.
Yeah, like how often do you actually get to play the Tier 0 busted thing?
Yeah, right. I was like, I don't want to be that guy who 2 years down the road has to tell you I went to that Grand Prix and didn't play Eldrazi.
Hey, Eldrazi didn't win that Grand Prix.
That's true. It did not. And then I remember hitting this deck where my opponent, turn 1, and this is like in the 6-0 bracket or something, started Hedron crabbing himself. And then on turn 3, rally the Ancestor for 1 for like a stack of like Viscera Seers and stuff. And I remember just immediate, and it was like Blood Artist for like for 2 it was like Viscera Seers and Blood Artists. And I just like, and then I died to it that game, and then I died to it again the next game. I was just thinking, this is all right. My board does not address this.
They wanted it more.
Yeah, I just had nothing in the sideboard for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool upside and downside of Magic constructed in general is, we know these meta decks are established, they're the safe thing to do, but sometimes you just get people by kind of knowing what's coming and get real percentage points from them not knowing whatever the heck it is you're doing.
It was pretty sweet. At that point, I wasn't, you're not even upset, right?
Oh.
That happens just like, you're like, yeah, I got drained for like 40 on turn 3. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I lost a game at Grand Prix Hartford at the beginning of last year where they had played nothing. Turn 3 Fraying Sanity me, and then Mind Funeral.
You're in trouble.
Mind Funeral milled 25 cards, and I died. And I was like, you're going to talk about me for the rest of your life. I'm fine with this.
Turn 1 Noble Hierarch from Dylan. So I have a new meme deck after last week, the Open. So tell me, how do you feel about this? Turn 4, you make a Crackling Drake, okay? Turn 5, I cast Leveler and then hit you. Boom. It's going to be my one-shot Crackling Drake deck.
It feels like you're not even jumping through a lot of hoops.
We'll have to register 20 instants. So some respect here from hand on turn 2. Meddling Mage naming Winding Constrictor.
Yeah, you gotta. What do? Die to it instead?
And no plays from either player. Mayor of Avabrook from Dylan. And you know how Andrew missed his land drop last turn? Well, he had better hope that doesn't happen again. Looks like Past Exile will take care of Meddling Mage. Okay, if you're hitting Meddling Mage with Past Exile here...
What card could be
Oh, goodness. And you kept a 1-lander, I can only assume. And there we go. There's a land. It's Snake time.
I think it's time for a Pelt Collector and Experiment 1. Let's run it back.
We're just doing the full...
We're doing it live.
The full 3. The full repeat.
Do you not? You gotta go for it.
But seriously, though, someone out there should break that Leveler deck. I'm sure someone that your mission, should you choose to accept it, it's just one-shot someone with Crackling Drake Leveler.
All right, Matthias, this is... You
Look,
got it, buddy.
Look, we can even have a dive down because it's turn 4 into 5. We can dive down the Crackling Drake and then leveler ourselves. You got to win that turn. There's no coming back once you cast it. That's all in.
That's nice. How do you feel? You're at 20 life or whatever. You're playing something like Humans that doesn't pay life for its lands, and they have a Drake with maybe a Seer Visions in yard, and you're like, I can take one, and they play lever, and you're just like, oh no.
In that voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, Winding Constrictor from Boswell. But now Boswell swung last turn, but he didn't play a spell, which means now the mayor will become Howl Pack Alpha. 3/3 pumps werewolves and wolves, then it makes one on the end step.
It's a weird spot where that card is likely worth more power and toughness on its front side. So even if Dylan's making tokens here, if Dylan's not playing other things, Andrew might be okay with it.
Now, he can always transform it back with 2 spells. 5 cards in Boswell's hand. Or rather, that was Dylan who skipped the land drop. Now we go to Boswell's side. If he has... With Boswell stuck on 2 mana, it might be hard for him to transform back the mayor.
That's probably something that Boswell's fine with. As long as he just gets to keep developing his board as intended. Oh, my.
I know this one from Standard. Walking Ballista on... Well, let's make it 2. With the Ballista on the stack, Path to Exile will take care of Winding Constrictor, so the Ballista will enter the battlefield as a 1.
And these paths are why we're seeing the different mana base from hand here. Rather than the traditional no-fetch mana base, we're seeing the classic Breeding Pool Sacred Foundry mana base.
Right, so we have 4 caverns, 3 unclaimed territories, and then some fetches and shocks. So normally we'd see... some Ziggurat or something like that.
Exactly. Here? Ancient Ziggurat is kind of I think the joke is that it's creature deck Tron. You have your 4 territory, your 4 cavern, and your 4 Ziggurat.
Now, 2 copies of Path to Exile from Dylan takes care of the experiment one as well. Now, an interesting side effect to that is it's going to transform back his Mayor of Avabrook.
And by that, you mean it's going to give him his Lord back?
Yeah. Though on a board this empty, I think he may... This actually may want Howl. Yeah, Howl Pack Alpha's okay here when all your opponent's cards are dead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Depending on what Dylan draws here, if he just picks up like a Manus Rider or something to that effect, though, this is going to be worth a similar amount of power and toughness. It's just awkward that it dies to the Walking Ballista in this instance.
Yeah, if all your opponent's creatures are dead, then I'll take it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Dylan trying to figure out if he wants to just kind of force Andrew's hand with an attack here. The Exalted from the Hierarch would put it up to bigger than a Ballista could take out later.
Andrew will shoot down the Mayor of Avabrook. Dylan forced that one by going to attack, says Exalted trigger, and says, I think not. Trade happens.
Exalted resolves.
Yes, Exalted resolves. We do have a 3rd Path to Exile in Dylan's hand. He'll just pass back. It's like 4 cards.
This is a weird spot where both decks are pretty synergy-based, but Dylan's cards are just a little bit better on their own outside of the stray Anafenza from Boswell.
Voice of Resurgence. That's one of the 3 sideboard copies from Boswell.
Pretty good against this Path to Exile plan.
Yeah, I like how that he leads on this creature before making a second one.
Exactly.
It looks like he's got Winding Constrictor and Scavenging Ooze and Night of Autumn all as options. Andrew chooses to go for Winding Constrictor. And Dylan, if he was going to path on Andrew's turn, would have done it there. He chooses not to, just draws the card. Main phase will shoot away the Elemental, giving Boswell another land.
Yeah,
which he doesn't have. That's just a straight exile.
Ooh. Ooh. That's kind of the nice thing is paths get better the more of them you draw against creature decks, because eventually they're just 1 mana your opponent doesn't have a creature.
But the only follow-up from Dylan is that Aether Vial.
Things looking kind of anemic here.
Well, it's interesting. I can't tell whether the game's about board presence or about running out of cards. If it's about attrition, about most cards, the fact that Dylan only has 3 mana seems to be okay. He still has 4 cards. But as for looking at the board, he doesn't have much going on there.
Exactly, and Dylan has kind of taken a more reactive stance this game, so if his hand's been clogged with 3-drops, then he has to hold up these paths, and it got taken by the voice, and so on.
Boswell going to show off some. Here is Experiment 1, Voice of Resurgence, evolving it twice into a 3-3. Winding Constrictor attacks for 2, Dylan to 13. And Scavenging Ooze, a play as well from Boswell.
This is a big turn. Boswell goes, oh, I have 1 creature? Blech.
Yeah. So now 4 creatures on the board. Boswell's last card is Knight of Autumn. That's one with Winding Constrictor could be a 5 and bring Experiment 1 to a 5 as well.
That's a big game. That's a big game.
Yeah, not to mention this Ooze plus Constrictor. I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, this is not too bad.
So next turn we could see this voice go in as a sort of a block. I dare you.
Right.
Ooze could be a 6/6, and then Experiment 1's a 5/5. That's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. Reflector Mage from Dylan hand will put the Scavenging Ooze back in Boswell's hand, so that'll keep that off for a turn. But I think we may see that Knight of Autumn now take the stage.
It's a question of what Boswell wants to do with it. If he wants to keep trying to choke Dylan on mana with all those cards in his hand by popping the Aether Vial.
I think we have another Snake. I think we have Snake Knight of Autumn.
You know what?
I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Experiment 1. Here's Snake. Now Experiment 1 grows up to a 4/4. With a Regeneration Shield. Here's Knight of Autumn. If he puts 1/1 counters on it, it will be a 6/5.
You actually made it bigger this way.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay.
He's blowing up Aether Vial, which puts Noble Hierarch into play. I want to see it because it could have been a 6/5 and then the Experiment 1
7/7.
6/6, right? No, 7/7.
Yeah, because he took the counters
7/7.
off and it got an extra 1 when the new Constrictor came down, and this Experiment 1 just has a free regen shield on it now.
Right. And now a swing in from Boswell. Voice plus Snake Token plus Experiment 1. The Voice could be blocked by Reflector Mage, but that would upgrade it to a 5/5.
Oh, yeah, I'd go from a Voice of Resurgence to just a big ol' outside voice.
That voice will... so the swing in is for 8. Dylan is at 13.
This is the range where it's not lethal, but Boswell just has so many bodies.
Yeah, next turn is lethal. That's
Exactly.
where the range are in, right?
Exactly. Just free rolling a block, it looks like.
Dylan down to 7. Yeah, and this is... we're mentioning those Path to Exiles being a bit taxed in the matchup. If Winding Constrictor stays in play, it's just hard to beat a Constrictor deck.
Oh yeah, and Humans is not known for having that many ways to interact with creatures. The assumption is generally just, I'm going to play a Champion of the Parish, and it's going to be bigger.
I mean, Dylan had 3 Path to Exiles this game.
And a Reflector Mage.
Yeah, that's about as much removal as you can expect from the deck.
Right, but, there comes a point where if everything is a synergy piece, how many things can you take out?
Reflector Mage attacks in, exalts to a 4/5. That'll deal some damage. Now Dylan's going to try to survive through the untap. Another Reflector Mage into play for him. He knows that Andrew's only card in hand is the Scavenging Ooze. So he'll bounce Experiment 1 and pass.
This Ooze is going to scavenge.
Oh yeah, and it'll be a very large Ooze. Boswell at 10 at the moment. On the board though, Boswell's attacks aren't great.
Not this turn.
Right.
So you get to attack for about 6 here, and there's even a point where you likely attack with the Knight of Autumn, as you aren't dead on board, and you're just sacrificing Knight of Autumn for 6.
And that's exactly what Boswell's going to do. I love the play. So swing of 8. Dylan will be forced to block 1. That's free. He may chump block a second creature. We'll see.
It kind of depends on if hand thinks that his 4th mana or this 2 points of life is worth more.
Right. Looks like he prioritizes the mana, so he'll take the free block on Knight of Autumn. He will go to 1.
He also knows this Ooze is coming down next turn, so this Hierarch can just chump block the Ooze instead.
Here's Scavenging Ooze.
Oh, I can't believe he left that green mana.
Yeah. I believe Boswell's hand is 2 copies of Experiment 1. That's the feel bad of when they reflect a major creature, and then for turn you draw a second copy of it.
You know what? I just don't think you're going to convince me it's a feel bad when you have this scavenging ooze. You just
no, it's smart. So nice.
You're just like, you know what? Fine, I wasn't casting these anyway. These are 1 power. This ooze, every mana is 3 power.
It's a 5/5, 8/8. Yeah, okay, this is fine. And ooze going to go to work. Takes care of Mayor of Avabrook. I love it when you have to do the math of, wait, how many counters?
Hold on. No. I have the second Constrictor. Hold on. Yeah. I got the second Constrictor.
Yeah. Up to 8/8, Boswell to 12. All these are lethal attackers.
Anybody's game. Anybody's game.
A squad of noble hierarchs here on hand side. Here's Experiment 1. Here's that other Experiment 1. What's that last one we have? Is that Dramoka's command? Oh, I think that is. That's good. That'll be good here. So put 3 1/1 counters on a creature and have something fight. You know. This seems okay.
It always feels bad when you have something like this. You feel like, I could just do something in combat to blow out more, but, maybe I just don't need to.
Fight the snake. Bites down on the Reflector Mage, and here's a swing of 4 creatures. 4 lethal attackers means there's going to have to be 4 blockers on Dylan's side. He can survive the turn.
Let's get ready to chump block.
And he extends the hand. Yeah, he can survive a turn, but there's no coming back from that one. And his Obzon Constrictor and Andrew Boswell picking up the win, going to 2-0.
That was seriously some impressive stuff. That was seriously great. So towards the beginning of it, we were thinking, maybe this is more about grinding. Maybe it's more about the quantity of cards or spells that he's getting to cast. But Dylan was on 2 real lands that whole time. He drew some hierarchs, but he drew less lands and still just got.
So new meta?
I mean, I think we need to go ahead and e-ban this Whining Constrictor. I don't know what's going to beat that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
This is the matchup that I really wanted, to be fair.